This week's blog of the week is Disco Pants and a Mountain. Now, creator and writer Susan Hayden is joining me in studio to chat about her awesome blog. How are you?
Hello, I'm so well, thank you. How are you?
Good. I love your blog.
Thank you so much.
You're
That's so
welcome.
lovely to hear.
So many other people love it too. I was reading all
They
of your
do.
wonderful comments.
Thank you. It's so lovely. I thought that my mom and my auntie Agnes would read it, and it's so lovely that more people than that.
Isn't it great? Because
Such a surprise.
I always think, yeah, my mom and maybe my sister are going to watch my videos.
I know.
But other people watch them.
I know. It's awesome. So, yeah.
All right. Well, Disco Pants and a Mountain.
Yes.
Where are these disco pants?
Yes. The disco pants I went and bought subsequent to naming the blog. You know, a blog's a difficult thing to name.
Right.
And this name came to me at about 3 in the morning, as things I want to do in my life. And I kept on thinking, this is such a ridiculous name. You cannot possibly call your blog that. So I kept on coming up with other names, and then that one was just sort of sticking. And then I kind of started asking a few friends, and they liked it, and I thought, you know what, it's so mad and quirky and insane. So I actually went with it, and then subsequently to that went and invested in a pair of snakeskin jeans with like little sparkly things. So those are my disco pants.
That's amazing. I wish
know.
you wore those
I
today.
should have, right? I should have. I know. Next
Where
time.
do you wear
Next
those to?
Wherever I get to go, that's fabulous. And I have to say, it's not often when I have 2 children.
I was just thinking.
Yes, but when I
go to school in your snake print.
Don't go to school in the snake prints, no, but anywhere that's vaguely glamorous, they kind of get an airing.
Amazing. Well, Disco Pants isn't a very telling name. So what do you write? What inspires your blog?
What inspires my blog? You know, a reader paid me such a lovely compliment a while back, and she said, you capture the in-between spaces. And it was such a beautiful way of summing it all up. And I write about a lot of different things and kind of nothing in a way. You know, it's just life and moments, and life being a series of little moments.
Well, you have so many different categories: parenting, relationships, food, but you also do social commentary in quite a funny way.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Really, I just wanted to get you in here so I could pay you compliments the whole time. I want to talk about your post, spending the day going to Kylie.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Yeah. How did that come about? Well, long or the short version. I lived overseas for a long time. We lived in Sweden, and then I came back to South Africa. And a lot of things had changed, and also not a lot of things had changed. And I love Cape Town more than the sky. I think it's the most beautiful, incredible city, but it is a very segregated space, you know, both spatially, geographically, and also psychologically. And I think a big reason for that is that there are places that we just don't go to, and you know, Kylie is one of them. And I hired a nanny for my girls. They were small at the time, and she invited me to her birthday party at her home in Kylie. And it was a moment where I kind of thought, okay, well, that'll be amazing. And then I thought, do white people go to Kylie? So I started asking around, and all the white people said to me emphatically, no, you cannot go to Kylie, that's insane. And the black people I spoke to, which was like cashiers and like anyone I encountered, I would just accost them, said, yes, of course you can go. You can absolutely go. And I thought, you know, these people that we hire, as middle-class South Africans, they spend so much time in our homes, and we never go into their homes, and that's really kind of peculiar. You know, they know our homes better than I do, or better than we do. And I thought, yes, let's go and go and celebrate with this person. And so we did, and that was my first sort of foray, and then it was the most incredible experience. It was, I mean, it's just a place where people live, in their malls and their gyms and their shops and hairdressing salons. And
now, did it surprise you how normal it was?
It really did. It really, really did. And and it's still considered this place that you don't go. And I mean, of course, it's a high crime zone, so don't go late at night by yourself and wander in the streets. But by all means, you know, go for lunch. Go with someone that you know who can show you around, and just go and just go and see what it's about. It's just down the road. A lot of people live there.
That sounds awesome. The name of your post, I loved it. It was "Who's Afraid of the Big Black Township?" Kylie for beginners, and it really is Kylie for beginners.
Yeah.
And I think if you are living in a city, you're living in a country, you have to experience all of it to appreciate it.
Yeah.
So I loved that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So go. I mean, you've probably been, but I say to my go. You know, do something. That
When you tell
you.
when you tell your friends, do they go?
I had a lot of people commenting on the blog and saying, this is so awesome, I've been wanting to go for so long and I haven't had the courage, or I didn't know if it, you know, and so a few of them assured me they were going to go. I'm not sure if they did. People go to Mazzoli's, you know, they go and they have,
exactly.
and that's cool, and that's awesome, but go to where people live and where people shop. You know, just go see it. So, we were, you know, there was so much warmth and loveliness and friendliness. It was a really lovely experience.
Well, that was one of my favorite posts. Another one that was very interesting was the day in the life of a maid. What was that like, hearing her story? Yeah,
it was another sort of strange moment for me coming back here. And thinking things are going to be way different. But actually so little time had passed, and things were not different, and it was a very tricky space for me negotiating that, hiring somebody who was in my home all the time, but at the same time discovering very quickly that, you know, the people you hire, they don't really have any rights. You know, it's like the serf system. You know, they're kind of slaves in a way. They have to do whatever you tell them, and they have to come to work whatever time. And I try to do it right, and I try to do it differently. It's a very, very difficult space to navigate, and so many stories about people who are expected to be at work at 7:30 in the morning, so they have to get to Clifton, for example, from Kylie, which means they have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and leave their homes before their children, you know, leave. And then be there to serve people tea, and they're just these insane stories that you hear all the time. And
well, it was quite extraordinary hearing her story.
Well, isn't it? And it's so common. That's the thing. It's so completely common. So I thought this is such an important story to tell, and not that a lot of South Africans don't do wonderful things for their domestic help and put their kids through school and buy them homes, and there's so many stories like that. But there are a lot of, you know, the other kind of story, and it got a wonderful response. And, kind of ironic as well. A lot of white South Africans going, "That's terrible," you know. But I think it's an important story, and there's not a lot of space for people to tell their story. So
how did you find this person?
You know what I did? I actually. I'm a member of Sea Point Library, and on a Tuesday morning they have a little group which is for young children and their charges. So anywhere else in the world that would be their moms, but since it's South Africa, it's nannies, and they sing and they have storytelling. And I arrived on the scene and I looked out over these faces, and it was just so extraordinary. And you know, I thought they've also got children, and you know, and they're in a creche in Kylie while they sit here with their, and it was just one of those sort of surreal moments. And then someone was walking out, and I literally accosted her, and I said, "Would you mind?" And she was lovely, and she said, "Not at all." So we sat down sort of behind the books, and she just shared her story with me.
That's awesome. Well, you mentioned that you lived overseas for quite a while and came back to South Africa, Cape Town, that hadn't changed as much as you thought it would. What specific things were you expecting to have changed that didn't?
Well, I think that, you know, the racial dynamic is still very tricky down here in Cape Town. I think we get it a little bit. We do it better in Joburg. It's much more integrated, whereas here it kind of still feels like the bad old days in a way. You know, you have these sort of enclaves of where people live, and there's not a lot of mixing between those people. And I think we're getting there. You know, it's much more than it was before. It's just,
Well, you don't only do hilarious social commentary.
Thank you.
You also write about other things. What has been your most memorable post to date?
My most memorable post to date has probably on moving back to South Africa, which was one of the earlier pieces I wrote, and it was very much just coming to terms with my own feelings and my own experiences of moving back here. And again, you know, expected 7 people to read it, and then I would have been very excited. And that's where things just kind of went crazy. And what I didn't realize was that it was a conversation people were having that was just so, I think I just captured a kind of a zeitgeist that I did not intend to do, because that's when I started getting emails, and people were having discussions and debates on the blog, and they were loving me and they were furious with me, and it was a really overwhelming space to find myself in. But that was really when things kicked off, and then it was all over Twitter, and then it was trending, and it was kind of like, oh my God, what have I done wrong?
What does it feel like to trend?
It was quite overwhelming for me at the time. I think now a year down the line, I'd probably be a little bit more excited and think that it was fabulous, but it was just really overwhelming. And I really had people from everywhere. I was getting hundreds of emails in my inbox.
People write to you from the States.
From Canada, from China, from France. I've got people sitting in Dubai going, "You make me so homesick." You know, it's amazing.
That's amazing.
It's wonderful.
I can't imagine
so awesome that they share their stories with me, and yeah, interesting stuff. Everyone's got a little story. So it's very cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now you have a section called the Kiffist Coffee in Cape Town. A whole section.
You know
for
the
it.
word kiff? It's such a
early
80s word.
Yeah. I've learned it since I've been here.
It's a very silly word, but it kind of came about. My mum and I she invited me for coffee, and she's lovely and she's hilarious, and I never ever see her other than when she's babysitting for me. So she said, "Why don't we have a coffee?" And we went somewhere. I think I took her to Haas in Burkop, which is just divine. And we had such a lovely morning and talked about all kinds of things. And then I thought, you know what, Cape Town has got such incredible coffee shops and cafes. So that's sort of how the whole idea kicked off. So now every Tuesday we go and we have coffee somewhere. And then I talk a little bit about the coffee shop and a lot about other things. You know, either what we've talked about or what's current.
What's the Kiffist Coffee in Cape Town?
You know, I love Haas in Burkop. I have not been to your boyfriend's, but I'm sure that one is amazing.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's the best one.
Is it really?
But I'm sure Haas and Burkop comes in a close second.
And then Truth is fantastic. So
Truth is amazing.
Truth is so cool. I love Truth.
That awesome vintage market. Have you been there?
The best, yes. Yes, it's the best.
All right, and I want to touch on one more section
because
it wouldn't be my show if I didn't ask you about food. I love food.
Yes.
One of your recent posts, I actually just want to take a look at it. You did a detox.
Yes.
Which I thought was quite interesting because
detox was hard. My friends are still ragging me.
I fail at detox.
Yes, no one does.
What has been your most memorable food post, or what's the most delicious? Actually, let's say that. What's the most delicious food post on your blog?
The most delicious food post. You know which one I really liked? I did something called Scrumptious Jewish Chicken. And it's a chicken dish with lemon and pine nuts, and that was just out of this world. And I actually haven't made it since, so thanks for reminding me.
You're welcome. I hope you have that for dinner today.
Thank you. I must do.
Well, thank you for coming in and joining us and talking about your blog.
Thank you. It was wonderful to be here.